and I'm still healing. I think it still is something that drives me today. And when I think of my why, there's nothing more than, helping a child get over the hill so that they're here today for all those that love them.
Hey everyone, welcome to Lone Startup. I'm Pat Kaloran, and I'm here to shine a light on Austin's most impressive entrepreneurs. From locally owned small businesses to global brands, Austin has an endless supply of inspiration. We sometimes just have to slow our scroll, take a breath, and listen. Let's dive in. The story you're about to hear is one that hits really close to home for me. Many of you know by now that I have two daughters, Billy, who's almost 4, and Margot, who's almost 2. And they are my world. My guest today is Andra Liemandt, the founder of the Kindness Campaign. And like me, she also has 2 daughters. And when her girls were young, a heartbreaking tragedy struck a dear friend's family. And in the midst of grief, Andra found herself searching for a way to help her children and herself navigate an incredibly dark time. Out of that pain, the Kindness Campaign was born, a nonprofit dedicated to teaching social, emotional learning in fun, engaging ways. One of those ways is through Andra's latest book, Enoughie Buddy, a book I now read to my own girls at bedtime. Enoughie Buddy is more than a story. It's a symbol of hope for anyone who has ever doubted their self-worth. Andra's journey is a powerful reminder of the importance of self-confidence and the stories we tell ourselves. Whether you're a working parent trying to keep up or someone who feels like life hasn't quite gone the way you expected, you are enough. And for our little ones, that message is even more critical. I recently had the chance to take my daughter to a live reading of Enoughie Buddy with Andra herself, and seeing the impact of this story firsthand was incredible. Before we dive into our conversation, I want to highlight an opportunity to support the Kindness Campaign. Their biggest fundraising event of the year is coming up. The Art of Kindness Gala is on April 10th, followed by a community day at the park at Mueller on April 12th. And I will 100% be at the community day with my family. There will be face painting, a petting zoo, and plenty of fun for the kiddos. For more details on how you can get involved, either at the gala or just in general, there's a million different ways to get involved. You can visit tkckindness.org. And now, my conversation with Andra Liemandt. My wife is a huge fan of libraries and book people events. And so she's always on the know of what events are coming up. And she had no idea I was actually even interviewing you. And on Monday, we're kind of thinking about our week and planning out things. And she's like, hey, on Saturday, I'm going to take Billy to ballet, but you want to take Margot to book people. There's this author reading. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I was checking it out 2 days ago. I was like, honey, this is who I'm interviewing here on Thursday. I was like, what are the odds of that?
That's so great.
Completely coincidence, but we will be there.
I love that.
On Saturday. My youngest, she's almost 2, but she's getting really into books now. Mm-hmm. I wish, and we will get the book for both of them, obviously, but I wish Billy could go because she's almost 4 and she's at that age where she's totally starting to develop a lot of that emotional maturity, right? And things are having a bigger effect on her. And so I wanted to kick things off because I read that you were really into ballet and music as a young girl. Uh-huh. What do you think the importance is of music and even creative outlets for kids at such a young age?
It's so crucial. I mean, speaking from my own experience, just developing all of those muscles of that you can do something and the drive and the work to get there, and then team building. I mean, no matter what sport you're in, or if you're in dance or, whatever art-based activity you're in, a lot of times it pushes you to use that creative muscle, tap into your body in ways that you haven't. And it is a great way to, work through whatever's going on personally for you. Yeah. And I know for me as a young person, doing dance was a huge, I was in the ballet theater. I did Nutcracker and Peter and the Wolf, which probably nobody knows, but I did those things, and it really helped me build confidence on stage in front of people, and just following a passion, which I think is in having something outside of whatever was going on in my life. I could always retreat there, which felt really good to me.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I've even seen that in my own daughter who, she took ballet when she was maybe almost 3, and maybe she was a little early because she was a little intimidated by everything and kind of liked it, but kind of didn't. And so we stopped, and then we just started going back again. And I swear it's brought out this like whole new side of her. She's like has so much more confidence. She's like the more outgoing one in the class now. It's so cool to see her like explode with just joy and confidence and ballet. Like it's literally, I feel like, changed her in a weird way, like already at such a young age. And I didn't think it would, be that big of a thing, right?
Well, I remember my girls were little and they did ballet. It didn't last long. They've had many different other adventures since their ballet days. But I was like, oh my gosh, come on, you got to do ballet and live through what I did, and it'd be so fun. And my girls always joke about that when the day that ballet died. Yeah. But my husband went to, I'd been taking him for a year to all of the the practices, and it was time for recital. And he came, and my daughter, she was very young at the time, maybe 4. And he looked and he said, well, is that it? And I go, oh yeah. She got on the stage. She didn't cry. She remembered some of the steps. And I mean, she feels accomplished. And so if we look at life, starting as young as that, as having these bite-sized moments of kind of, giving yourself that dose of confidence, because it takes all those stair steps to get to whatever that dream is, standing in front of people and speaking to hundreds, or, just being able to speak on a Zoom. It takes all of those small moments to add up to how the belief and the feelings that you have about, and the stories you tell yourself, the stories of I can. Yeah. And that develops very young. Our curriculum and what I do starts at pre-K 3. So there's a lot of research to suggest, skill building at that age, emotional health skill building, and using the arts, for me, is a great way to engage them, to keep them active, coloring, moving their bodies, dancing, learning to create songs. All of these ways are tools I use based on a lot of research that's out there that says that really helps kiddos engage. Yeah,
definitely. And I want to get to, because I know even you had your own creative outlet later in life as well, and I want to get to that.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That's a whole nother podcast. Yeah, there's a lot of different topics we can go down here. But I do want to actually talk about, between when you graduated and had your first kid, there was kind of like basically, I think like maybe a 10-year period, right? Where, and it reminds me, so I was given this book a few years back, it was a while ago, called The Defining Decade. And it's all about like searching for, purpose and a little bit guidance in your 20s of like kind of what you're doing. And anyways, the author's main premise is about, finding your identity capital. So it's like, what relationships are you investing in during that time period? What new skills are you acquiring? What professional knowledge are you gaining? Like, that's what you should be trying to build up during that phase. So, just going back to like that period of your life. So before, you got to the nonprofit and everything, but that decade, what do you think you maybe did well during that period? Like, what skills did you kind of gain during that period before kids? And like, were there any, relationships that you really felt like you did a good job investing in? Or how would you kind of characterize that identity capital segment of your chapter of your life?
That's a great question.
Was it a wandering time for you?
It really, I think funny enough, on a team call the other day, somebody was talking about their eyes being dry, and I was a contact rep. Like, I sold contacts for a short stint. So when I think about that time period in my life, I really dabbled and tried a lot of things. I started thinking about, I was a fitness instructor who went corporate, started working at Dell. And then
You're in Austin, obviously.
In Austin, and I sold computers for a while, which I never owned one, so they had to train me on all of that. And then I wanted to really get out in the field and do pharmaceutical sales. And that was really more aligned with I love sales. I love all that. Yeah. But more aligned with my degree from college, which kinesiology, sports and fitness management. I love the study of the body. I love learning. And that was really, I worked really hard to get there. Yeah. and had that short stint of selling contacts.
Yeah.
But if I really reflect back, I wasn't floating. I would never identify me as floating around. I really think that I was working hard where I was and always looking to see what would make me the most happy, bring me the most joy. And I would say, pharmaceutical sales, I did that right up until I met my husband and had my first child. And that was definitely something that really spoke to me. I loved helping people. I really got to see what I was capable of in sharing knowledge and working with doctors and caring for people. And it really resonated with me. So I identify that just like finding myself through being open and really never being afraid to try things.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's a great reflection because that does show that, you dabbled and tried a lot of things, which I think you should do in that period of life in your 20s. It's okay to, even if it's a lot of different things, it might look like it was like not thought through, but it was really, you're just kind of testing out, what you like, what you don't like, what you're good at.
Right.
So once you had your first two daughters, like myself, I know you picked up the drumsticks and had your own creative outlet that you kind of jump-started.
Yes.
Can you just talk a little bit about like what jump-started, why you picked up the drumsticks and what instigated that? Because you had never played drums before?
No, I had never played drums before, but dance was a big part of it. And I really think that, being able to drum is a lot about having body control, obviously being able to count, have rhythm and all of those things. And so I really felt like my early days of dance really played into being able to accept the role of drummer in the initial phase. It wasn't like I was like, hey, I'm in Austin, I'm going to start a band.
Yeah.
It was me trying to find music lessons for my daughter, stumbling upon a place that is called Natural Ear Music. And they had a mom band and they were looking for a drummer for their recital that was in 3 weeks. And I said, I'm not interested. I'm nursing one baby and I have a toddler and I have like no time. And they said, just come in and meet the girls. And so I did. And they were like, please, we can't perform unless we have, another person that's not an instructor. And I agreed. And I would definitely say that was a defining moment of my life. I have a lot of emotion tied to that, but it was a moment to say yes. Sometimes we say yes to the things that scare us most or the things that we feel we have no business doing. I had no idea what I was doing. And in 3 weeks, learned 2 songs and got on stage with a group of girls that I just met and performed. And my family came and watched me. My daughter had those, earphones on and they were there and there were the, 5-year-olds performed, the 7-year-olds and on up. And then it was the mom group. Wow. We were called the Mombos.
So this is pre the
This
misses?
is pre the misses.
Oh, okay.
And there was many phases of that because as you can imagine, being someone who felt I was just beginning. It wasn't like I'm going to go start a band. But what I did want to do is share that same experience I had with those women with some of my friends. So I invited them to do a book club instead of a book club, but do a band club. And we would all learn instruments. And that's really the bud of how that began. And what it did for me was it gave me a creative outlet that connected deeply with myself, but also gave me, this fun camaraderie with friends and later to go on stage and perform. It started as we did cover 80 Rock, moved on to, creating our own songs. I ran into Kathy Valentine from the Go-Go's and randomly in Austin, which happens.
Yeah.
And she agreed to help me learn how to write a song. And that became this whole other avenue. I was like, this is what I love. And it became very full-time for me. Yeah. Running a label, trying to get the band gigs and all of that thing. It's so many versions of this, of what happened, but it was, and to this day, it's something I'm very proud that I was able to do. Yeah. And I'm very passionate about.
Yeah. No, I think that's, I think it's just a great story of how you can seek out a different identity than just being a mom, especially when you're a new mom. It can be probably, I mean, I know I've seen my wife, it can be a lot, right? You're juggling a lot, especially, I mean, both parents, but especially the moms, your identity gets so caught up in being a mom. And then it's good to know that you can flex those muscles creatively to find other outlets to feel like yourself again, right? And I think that's a great story about that.
Well, to your point of being a mom, that in and of itself, unless you just were a full-time babysitter and you or nanny or something, and you've got all those skills before you become a mom, you are on a very fast pace to learning. And I remember thinking, and to this day, my daughters are now 18 and 16, and I tell them, every year you get 1 year older, I'm parenting to a new Kate, or I'm parenting to a new Elle, which they're very different, which I'm sure yours are. And so you're learning in the capacity to continue to grow. It's also very humbling. And it's also very much like you're constantly doing things that you're like, I don't even know if this is right. But you want to be the best. And so the capacity to go and do something different or take on new skills is very limited, because your brain capacity is just like, how do I keep this child alive? Or, okay, they're learning to walk, what do I do? And so on. Yeah. But that part of my life, it actually, the thing that I thought about, because, it's never too late. Like, just because I didn't do it in high school or it wasn't my career path, I felt like it wasn't too late for me to be a learner and to do this. And it really wasn't about anyone else, but really fueling a passion and a desire to learn. But I can remember one quick story about trying to get our songs published and get someone to back us. And I went up to New York and I walked in, and I remember the gentleman who I had begged for a meeting on the phone said, "Come on in." And he's like, "So is it just you?" And I thought, yeah, I mean, unless you want me to bring my kids, it's me. And he's like, okay. And I brought like a pharmaceutical sales rep. I brought my iPad and I pitched him. And that's a whole nother story. But that was something that I felt was also just a great learning lesson about who you want to connect with, who you allow to be in your creative process, and you kind of your why are you doing it? Right. And it really got me into that space to think about what I was doing and how I wanted to move forward with the band. But
I love that. And so the band club turned into the Misses, right?
Yes.
And then so part of that songwriting journey was that you wrote Enough came out of that?
Enough was definitely, it was one of our first breakout songs with the band, and with what now is such a large tool in the work I do today, but the magic mirror. Yeah. And that was just seen all over and went viral. And I think back then, millions of views was something. Today, it's like, oh, you just have millions of views. Yeah. I mean, I saw the video on YouTube the other day, and it is very, emotional, right? It's a tearjerker of a video, and it's an incredible project that you did, for the song, this kind of, going to, what is it, mall in Austin? Or where did you actually do Barton
this?
Creek Mall in Austin.
You could explain a little bit about, for people who haven't really heard of the Magic Mirror.
It sounds a little weird, woo-y.
How did you even think about that? And then just kind of walk people through like the sequence of events of doing that experiment. Sure.
And I think it goes down back to the statement of me really diving in to figure out why I was doing what I was doing. And one of the goals was to write songs, love letters to my children that one day I could look back on, and they would know what was on my heart, what was on my mind, coupled with other girls that were in the band with me that were feeling some of the same things, and to let women know that they weren't alone in some of these feelings. And one of the big songs was Enough. And it was written because I felt I wasn't at the time. I felt like I couldn't be the best mom. I would fail my husband at times because I was trying to do it all. So I'd let him down. And then the band, I didn't feel like I was very good at all. And how can I get better at this? But yet I was still out there performing, and I was learning while in front of people. It was very scary and very humbling for sure.
Yeah.
And what we wanted to do was with that Magic Mirror video, and the reason why we did that was because our music wasn't really about us. It was about a cumulative us, about women, about family. And when we launched it, we wanted to put, it's a two-way mirror in the mall is what we did. And we had a control booth. And we wanted women to come and have videos from their loved ones, people who cared most about them, that would share with them how they saw them. Because oftentimes we have that negative script rolling through our head, and we wanted these heroes, these moms that we picked to come in front of the mirror and have this beautiful experience. And we thought, as our music video, that would really tell the story of what the song was about.
Yeah.
And it was such a beautiful experience. What we learned was we had planned these 10 women to come over 2 days. But in between, we're at the mall, where Santa usually is.
Yeah.
And people would walk by and go, "What is this?" And we had this one question we asked them, and it was interactive, where they would slide. It looked like a big iPad. It would slide and would say, "How do you feel when you look in the mirror?" And then they could rate themselves. Well, people would walk by and they would start engaging with our magic mirror in between when we were set up for our surprise guests. And what was interesting, we thought, well, what do we do? Do we talk to them? We don't know anything about these people.
Yeah.
And we ended up having these beautiful conversations with people, and they walked away feeling uplifted and supported. And it was eye-opening for all of us. We were very experimental at that moment. And true to the why we were doing it, the women that came into the mirror, I mean, every one of them was in tears, was saying, "I had no idea that my husband felt that way, or my best friend, or all these people."
Yeah.
And so the lesson there was, once it went viral, and what it is this connected with so many people. And that's why it went viral. And that's why people were saying, "Can we have this device?"
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it was never meant to travel, but let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
And that started the journey of the last 10 years of the Magic Mirror being everywhere, from Top of the Rock in New York, Mall of America, on tour with Lady Gaga, right here at the Irwin Center. And so we've, not to mention, tons of schools, Kendra Scott, we've been in her stores, we've been a lot of places. So it's really been a great journey.
That's incredible. And it's pretty crazy to think that, like, this female band, doing such spreading such an incredible message around helping, women feel empowered and that they're enough. And this Magic Mirror all happened kind of, before the nonprofit was even a thought and a thing.
Yeah.
Right? It almost seemed like you were destined to really be the one to lead this kind of message moving forward. And obviously, I know that a very tragic event happened in your life that really made this come to life out of the ashes there that you've kind of talked about. But yeah, can you talk a little bit about just the original foundation of the Kindness Foundation and about helping kids process grief, and that was kind of the impetus for starting this. People who aren't familiar with the nonprofit.
And the two are very, this is perfect because the two are very, they're much connected, not just because of the Magic Mirror and the tool we use. We call it now Enoughie's Magic Mirror. But because during this time I was on tour, I was doing radio shows, we were performing all over in different places. And the Magic Mirror, we would bring it. It would be a part. And one thing, I remember we had the National Eating Disorder Association wanted us to perform, kick off their walk, as well as bring the Magic Mirror for a couple days. So we did that. Why this helped kick off what I'm doing today is because every time we were out there with the Magic Mirror, I was very involved, everyone in the band was, in hearing from people, hearing their stories, having them step up to the mirror And in creating these experiences for people, sometimes their loved ones were there. I did things where people could talk to their loved ones who wanted to say something but didn't know how. We created moments, and I started to really see humanity and the pain and the struggles, and then the kind of the triumphs out of some of this stuff while I was doing all of this. And then in the midst of all of this, my dear friend, her daughter was 12 at the time, and she was being bullied at school, but we didn't know. And she died by suicide. My daughters were little at this time, and this was fairly soon into kind of the mirror and the enough. I had many years of experience with the band, but this was kind of the meat of what we were doing. And it just, as you can imagine, anyone who, and I hope anyone, who hears this knows that there's action you can take. There's people that can, really support you during this process. My healing journey was launching this nonprofit, and I didn't know it. I sat at the table with my girls, completely distraught, and we started saying, let's talk what's going on at school. And we created a journal and a little character. I don't know if your daughters love these, but they're those little stuffies with the big eyes.
Oh, yeah. The squish.
Yeah. So my daughters and I created at our kitchen table Enoughie Buddy, and to encourage people to know, whoever had it, it was a lovey, that they were enough and to be used with that journal. And it was just a Xerox copy, and I was going to take it into their school. And when I met with the principal, he said, "Oh, I love it. You can have it in their classrooms, but let's just do a big launch into the whole school." I was like, I think I'm going to need to go to Kinko's, get a few more copies. So that's really the start is, my daughters sharing their stories, kind of me going through the healing journey of what had happened. And I'm still healing. I think it still is something that drives me today. And when I think of my why, there's nothing more than, helping a child get over the hill so that they're here today for all those that love them.
No, and thank you for sharing that story. I mean, I'm sure even every time you share that, it just brings back a lot of emotion. So I thank you for sharing that. And I think it's such an important message. And I even hearing that, right, as a dad to young girls, and I just can't even imagine them having to process those sort of emotions and like how you would even start to tackle that. It's, it definitely puts a lump in your throat thinking about, a kid not feeling like they are enough or feeling bullied. And I think so. That's why it's so important and so amazing what you're doing, like really creating this curriculum, making it more accessible for kids at such a young age, because it does happen so early. It's not just for teens, although I know, social media and impact on teens is through the roof. And I know adolescent suicides are double than they were 10 years ago, right? But I think it's great that you're starting even so early with young kids there. So obviously the school was, welcoming your journal, and was like such a great activity for kids to do at that time. I'm sure the whole school was distraught, right? And then other schools, I guess, probably caught wind, and it seemed like in that first year you went from your daughter's school to 5 schools, right? What was that like journey like? That all of a sudden, did your life just get kind of consumed by helping this now get out to as many people as you could, realizing, oh my gosh, so many people need this help. It's not just unique to our situation. And then you kind of started working with mental health experts. And like, what was that whole process like for that first year for you?
So, and to answer that question in a way that I during the band, I used to always say, we've never done that before. Let's do it. Why not? And that was kind of my motto, was I'm going to try it. And so now looking back during that time, when you're in grief, it's hard to say, and when you're looking at things and trying to understand and prevention is hard. It's hard to say exactly what you were feeling and how it was going, because a lot of it was your body trying to heal and you're going through it. But when the principal was so supportive and wanting to make this something that we had at the school and then championing it to 5. And then the more that people would catch on, whether I was at Dell Children's doing a Dell Miracle Day and someone heard and they wanted to talk to me. And that's how I met with Tracy Spinner, who at the time was the director of health and wellness. And that's really, she knew the magic mirror. She wanted this curriculum. She wanted us to be in all of AISD.
Yeah.
So if I look back, I wasn't a nonprofit at that time. I was full on running a band. And this was something I was like, well, yeah, I'll just Xerox some copies and, every now and then we'll go to school and we'll launch it. It's fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's not really how this worked out. It became all consuming. Yeah. And I eventually had to really hire someone. I had to figure out how to start a nonprofit. And if anyone who's been through that process, it is very difficult. At least it was 10 years ago. And, just all the paperwork and making decisions. If I look back at that point, I thought, I was like, well, let's just do like the Cattell Foundation. My daughter is Kate and Elle, and I smushed it together and I made Cattell. I think that's how streets are named and all these things. But so it was the Cattell Foundation because the kindness campaign was just going to be something, a part of that foundation. And then eventually maybe we would do something else. I was like, I didn't know. And I was just following every day. Somebody would say, come here, do that. And I was like, sure, why not?
Right.
We have never done that before.
Right.
Be in Alvin, Texas? Sure, why not? Go to, launch and be at a counselor kickoff and see how many sign up, for AISD. We did that and we had 50 schools sign up.
Wow.
And I thought, how in the world, okay, how am I printing all of these? So a lot of my journey was not organized. I was very much in over my head in some of these things that we were doing. And I was just working all the time. I was very much a mom. So I had that role. And the thing that I did that I feel really saved me was bringing in experts around me, meeting Lori Hobby. And she was at a school and a counselor. I had her come in and create curriculum that I thought was curriculum worthy of rolling out to 50 schools. The journal I did at my kitchen table, and it was literally black and white with like sketches and like writing prompts.
Yeah.
I did not feel like that was where we were headed. So by bringing in experts and having them surround me, I got a chance and opportunity to learn, to be able to answer to the requests that were coming in.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. And is the curriculum nowadays something that schools can like adopt on their own, and the teachers at that school kind of then start, can interweave it into whatever they like? Or do you guys come in and like take over for a few days and do your thing? Or is it both?
That's a great question, and it's different, and it's a yes to both. Some schools we're established in, and organizations, other nonprofits, we partner and work with everyone. And some of them, that was definitely a learning lesson for me, because I was like, oh, can't we just go in and like bring the curriculum fun? And they're like, wait, we have a process and you have to be approved. Oh, okay. What's the process? And then it's like, 20 million pages.
Right.
But so yes, some we're in, and others, it's driven by their PTAs that ask us to come in. The counselors are a huge resource to us. We have so many that advocate for our work and want to bring it in.
Right.
Because it's curriculum, but it's also programs. So we do things like Kind Music, where entire schools can write a song and children can have their lyrics as inspiration for this song. And then we hire local musicians, and then they get to perform them. And then we put it out on Spotify and all listening sources. And for, kind art, everything was kind art. By the way, looking back, I could have created something a little different, because we're all like kind, everything from your Dropbox or your Drive comes up, and I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fun thing, but kind art, and then we have the Enoughie's Magic Mirror, but those are on site, so they have to ask us to come in, and my team comes in and we do them.
Gotcha.
Coming up, I'm doing a national kind music program with the National Charity League where daughters all over the nation will participate.
Oh, cool.
And we will get to create a national song for their centennial event that they have in April.
Wow.
And that is going to be fun. It's hundreds and hundreds of lyrics that we'll sort through and really figure out.
That's so cool. And so you can get pretty creative, obviously, with the curriculum and how different people want to, use it and weave it into their, school or whatnot.
That's the fun part.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so this Enoughie Buddy character has obviously been present from day one, right? Mm-hmm. But 10 years later, you wrote the book, Enoughie Buddy, or maybe 9 years later-ish. So what kind of prompted the book? And, was it an idea that was kind of always in the back of your head of this would make a good book? I just need to find the right time. Was that kind of it? Or what kind of instigated you putting that character into a cohesive story?
Right. I've had that story for a long time because I talk about Enoughie. Enoughie Buddy is round and blue, has antennas, and is adopted, and he doesn't feel like he fits in. And Mr. and Mrs. Buddy, which are his parents, go on this journey with him. So that's kind of like my kicking off point to talk to people about Enoughie Buddy.
Yeah.
So the reason I did it when I did it was because we were launching into a district out of Dallas, and we were training over 50 counselors on all of our curriculum.
Oh, wow.
And my team said, we were running a little ahead of schedule, and they're like, Andra, go fill the time. And I said, oh, great. And I got Enoughie Buddy, and I said, okay, for all of you, I'm going to tell you the journey of Enoughie Buddy and his story. Mm-hmm. And some of the, participants, the counselors there said, is that written somewhere? Can I have that? I'd love to share that with the kiddos when they come in to see me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but it will be.
Yeah.
And I wrote it on I just, in my notes app, wrote the whole thing on a plane ride. And I have my illustrator, Jen Carnes, who's been with me since nearly the beginning.
Wow.
And I sent her, here's where I see a coloring, a colorful picture. And I'm kind of open to what you think, but here's what I think. So that was very much a collaboration.
Yeah.
And she's brilliant, and it just brought the whole book to life.
Wow.
So that's why I did it. And it's so fun.
Yeah, and it seems like you've gotten amazing feedback, obviously. What has the reception been like? It sounds like maybe it's already motivated you to write some more.
Yeah, I have another one in my notes app waiting.
Nice.
Yeah, I've already written the next one. But sometimes you have to sit with things. I'm like, is this where he's going? But yes, we are very busy with this book launch. And what we did, I launched it actually last year at our Gala, just a soft copy, and then continued to make edits. And then our November 13th is World Kindness Day. And our gift to our schools this year was to put that book in there. And we served close to over 60,000 individuals nationwide.
Wow.
And so, with the help of Dell Computers, we partnered and they helped us pack all of our supplies up. They get a lot of supplies during World Kindness Day. It's a big program we do.
Okay.
And so with that, we did a survey. So any participant that was receiving the book, they could fill out this survey.
Yeah.
And the feedback we have gotten is phenomenal. I keep it up on my desk, on my computer, just so I can read it. It helps the teachers with the other curriculum we have. They can do story time. We also created ways where they could use our Enoughie Buddy doll to be a kind of a speaking stick where kids get opportunities. And and we also have these antennas. So everybody gets to have a creative element, which I love for the arts. And then the teacher gets her own, which is one that we've made.
Cool.
So it's just a fun way to really engage our community in storytelling, emphasizing literacy, which is so critical these days for our littles, but also big people, and what I call emotional literacy. So really helping to engage learners in, even if it's just in a book moment, to tap into, we ask them to go down and think about their superpowers. And Enoughie Buddy feels like he's unique and different, which has always made him feel like he doesn't fit in or belong. And we take our learners through this to help them identify what makes you unique. That can be your superpower. And then change the story. And for me, for these littles, that's what I want them to feel like they have so many incredible powers. So that they can go on and be big dreamers and know that they can.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I was actually looking at your Instagram story today of the 10, reasons why emotional literacy is so important. Because I know you're obviously your 10-year anniversary of the kindness campaign. And it definitely just spoke to me, right? Having a 3.5-year-old who was learning these words that can help her express her feelings. And, we do books, every night, of course. And I'm excited to put Enoughie Buddy into the rotation there. But there was a night where, she was kind of in a crabby mood, and I'm like, honey, what's wrong? And she, for the first time, she used the word, she's like, I'm just frustrated. And I'd never heard her say that word frustrated before. And I didn't even know where she picked it up. And I was just like so taken back and like proud and excited that she was able to like communicate how she was feeling. And I could and then we talked through, okay, why are you feeling frustrated? And she was able to talk through that. And, and then she ended up being fine. And she was, we figured out why she was frustrated, and we kind of navigated that. But it was so much easier than, if she wasn't able to express that and was just kept those emotions inside without the words to communicate that. And everything you were talking about with emotional literacy was just like bringing back memories of that moment I had. And I do think it's so important for kids to be able to.
It's a language. It's a language in and of itself to understand that this word means this, and it connects to me in this feeling. And that is part of that emotional literacy and skill building, but also letting children know, and adults, it is okay to have all those feelings. Whether you are angry, you're sitting in fear right now, anything like that, but being able to acknowledge what it is and understand how to care for yourself in that moment and be productive with the next steps you take. So you're not angry, and then you allow it to affect your friends or your people around you or your job
definitely.
So
well, I want to end because I know you have an exciting big gala every year, right? That's coming up in April. And this episode, hopefully, I think it definitely should air well before that. So, what do you guys do at this gala? What makes it so exciting? Are you still looking for people to get involved with the gala, or kind of what does that all entail? This big event every year.
Thank you. I have enjoyed that. We call it the art of kindness because there is a particular art to being kind. Everybody has their unique ability to be kind, but also we love to support the arts. And this year we're partnering with PBS. And so we'll be hosting it there, or they'll be hosting us there.
Oh, wow.
And so this, may be our new home for a while. And it's really neat because we're very aligned in who we serve and how we serve them through videos or puppet shows and all of those things. And what we're always looking for more people. The gala is our biggest fundraiser. As you know, to exist as a nonprofit, you've got to have people that support your programming. And so, yes, I'm always open to anyone joining or wanting to learn more about it. But the thing that I love about our gala, it's actually 2 days. The first day is our gala where we bring our community together who supports everyone, and we take them through an evening of the arts and celebration, and really helping them see a community of people who care about this mission. The second day is our community day, and it's open to anyone. And we usually give out quite a few, probably over half vouchers to Title I schools. That's a large community who we serve. And last year we had about 600 in attendance, and we have everything. I think you might want to come. Petting zoos, face painting. We do things that are aligned with our 4 pillars of self-image, emotional awareness, empathy, and community. For both events, we want to make sure people walk away feeling uplifted, supported, and that they've learned something. And so with our community day, we bring all of these people together, and we have a stage, and there's art time for children to, whether it's kind slime or another kind activity, we have lots of partners that participate with that. And I mean, it is one of my favorite things I get to do for the Austin community and one of my favorite days. And it's all fueled by our gala.
Yeah, it's incredible. We will be there, my whole family.
Yay!
That sounds awesome. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time today. This has been amazing. I think, just on behalf of all the parents out there, thank you for the mission that you guys are pursuing over there at the Kindness Foundation. I think it's just obviously core to everything as a parent, wanting our kids to be emotionally healthy and stable and feel loved and secure. And it's just, it's a great reminder. And I know there's a bunch of ways that even parents can get involved on your site. So I will make sure to link all of that in the episode details. But thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks for listening to this conversation with Andra Liemandt. I hope her story and message of being enough really resonated with you as much as it did with me. And for the fellow parents out there, I think we can all say how important it is, the work that they're doing over there at the Kindness Campaign. And if you want to get involved, go check them out at tkckindness.org. You can donate, you can buy the Enoughie Buddy book, you can get involved with any of the events they have going on. A lot of ways that you can contribute to the amazing good work that they're doing over there. And every season, I'm going to be highlighting a different nonprofit. And there's already a bunch on my radar that I absolutely love. And Austin has really an incredible amount of nonprofits in this city. But if you have one that really means a lot to you, let me know. I want to make sure I can highlight as many great nonprofits out there. So shoot me a message at pat@lonestartup.com and I will get them on my radar. Until next time, thanks for listening to Lone Startup.